Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, which, of course, is energized by Celsius. We are going to break down everything for this matchup between your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or maybe if you're watching on the West Coast, your Los Angeles Rams, which at one point earlier this year could have been dubbed a revenge game. But now, when you have not one, but two teams that are struggling very heavily, this is more of, hey, we got to focus on ourselves more than the opposition. So I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is my co-host, Scott Reynolds of PewterReport.com. And Scott, I just said it was supposed to be an awesome rematch going into this week, but now it's, hey, who's going to be an even deeper crap following the game?
It's turned into the battle of the sucks, hasn't it, Matt? It really has. It's been two teams that maybe were penciled in to be favorites in the NFC, along with the Packers, right? All three of these teams, that were the preseason favorites, have been struggling. So it's disappointing that this team, the Buccaneers, are where they're at. Sure, the Rams are feeling the same way, and that's right. The Rams' offensive line is hurting, but can the Bucs take advantage of that with their pass rush without Shaq Barrett? That's going to be a big time challenge. You know, you look at the Rams and their schedule, and it's it's been kind of a similar situation, right? They started off 2-1, both teams. It started with the 31-10 thumping at the hands of the Bills.
Yep.
After their Super Bowl win, right? They hosted the Bills on Thursday Night Football. They got drubbed. But then they bounced back with a couple of wins over the Atlanta Falcons, 31-27, and the Arizona Cardinals, 20-12. Neither one of those teams are anything to write home about right now in the NFC. We'll see how they fare. But then now they've been swept by the San Francisco 49ers, losing 24-9 in Week 4. And then, of course, last week at LA, 31-14 after their bye week. So that was a very rude awakening, a humbling, if you will, for the Rams. And then sandwiched in between there was a loss to Dallas 22-10 in Week 5, and then finally a win against Carolina that was 24-10, and that was in Carolina. That's what prompted the I guess that was right after the Matt Rule firing, but certainly not a great slate for the Rams, whose 3 wins have come against the Falcons, Cardinals, and Panthers. At least the Rams beat the Panthers, but Matt, this is just as bad of a football team right now as the Buccaneers. So we'll see which team is worse for wear come Sunday, probably around 7:30.
Yeah, and it's so weird, as you mentioned. Like, okay, well, the Rams could beat the Panthers, the Bucs couldn't do that, but the Bucs beat the Cowboys, and the Rams got annihilated by them. Of course, it was early in the season. Another thing that they fortunately have in common, the Bucs and the Rams, is the fact that they've only scored 30 points once. For both teams, it was 31 points. Obviously, the Bucs did that and lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're talking about two offenses, again, going into this season that were considered. Sure, we understood some of the losses on both sides, for sure. The Rams, especially with the offensive line and Odell Beckham as well. But this was, again, two teams that were supposed to be offensive juggernauts, and that's probably going to lead the way for both of these teams. And it really hasn't been the case. And you could argue on either side who has looked worse between the two, but it's two really bad teams.
Statistically speaking, right, as bad it is for the Buccaneers, averaging just 18.3 points per game, well, the Rams are averaging 16.9 points per game. So Tampa Bay's scoring offense ranks 25th. Rams rank 28th. That's comical, right? It's comically bad. At the same time, though, keep in mind that the Pittsburgh Steelers have the worst scoring offense, averaging just 15 points per game, yet scored 18 against the Bucs. So you can't look at these stats and really make too much hay out of them. I just don't trust the Buccaneers, right? And I said this, I was just on WDA with Ronnie and T-Kraz, our partners, radio partners. And the crazy thing about this Bucs team, Matt, is even if you were to say, okay, 8-9 in this this downtrodden NFC South. But let's say 8-9 gets you the NFC South title, which of course comes with a home playoff game, right? That's the goal, right? To get into the postseason. Anything can happen, especially with Tom Brady. Maybe Ryan Jensen comes back. Maybe Julio Jones is finally healthy. Whatever, right? That's what this team is thinking. That's why they're standing pat. They didn't make any trades. We'll get into that in just a minute. But Matt, when you look at an 8-9 record for a 3-5 football team, I'm doing the math. It might be Plant City math, but that means you got to go 5-4, right, down the stretch. Where are those 5 wins? Where are the 5 wins in the remaining 9 games? And if 8-9 is not going to win the South, and some of you might be thinking, well, how can you be 8-9 and win the division? Well, the Seattle Seahawks back in 2010 won the NFC West with a 7-9 record, and the Panthers back in 2014 won the NFC South with a 7-8-1 record. So it can be done. It doesn't happen very often. And a stupid NFL rule says that even though you win your division, you get a home playoff game. Even though a 7,
because you earned it.
Because you earned it. Yeah, you suck so bad. You got the first place in the battle of the sucks, and so you might be 7-9, or in this case 8-9, because there's 17 games. You might be 8-9, but you're probably going to host an 11-win team, right? So doesn't mean you're going to win. But here's the thing: even if it's 9-8, right? Even if 9-8 wins this division, doing the math on that, now you have to get to 6-3. Where are the 6 wins on this schedule, Matt? If you can't beat a 1-win Panthers team, a 1-win Pittsburgh team, where are the 5 wins? Where are the 6 wins? I don't know.
I will tell you where those 5 or 6 wins potentially could be, or potentially not. But first, I want to tell everyone about our favorite energy drink. Of course, that is Celsius, the presenting sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. So many awesome different flavors, as you see on the screen here: the Arctic, peach, and tropical vibe. Some of my favorite flavors, but there's even more than that. You can go with a cola flavor, a cucumber lime, peach mango, strawberry lemon, watermelon, as so with different flavors there. The key thing, though, is they have 7 essential vitamins. This is the healthy energy drink that you have that will give you that essential energy to get you through your day, whether it's a long workout, long work day. Maybe you're going for a long car ride and you just need that extra kick, or you want to stay up late, watch some good sports over on the West Coast. Celsius energy drinks can provide all of that. Now, where can you find Celsius energy drinks? There's 2 ways to go about it. Well, multiple ways, but the 2 easiest routes to go about it. 1, go to Celsius.com, click on the store locator, find out where you can get one near you, your local bodega, like the
bodega,
or your convenience. You can go, maybe you don't want a whole pack just yet. Just try 1 or 2. You'll absolutely love it. Or if you want to get them in bulk, of course, go to Amazon, do the subscribe and save, have it set straight to your house or apartment, right at your doorstep. And you could set it up every 1, 2, 3 weeks, whenever you want it. Just make sure you are drinking Celsius energy drinks. That's hashtag Celsius Live Fit, hashtag Celsius Energy. Celsius Energy Drinks, the presenting sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. Now, Scott, you just mentioned that the Bucs will probably need 5 or win in order to win the division, and they're only 1 game out. Which, silver lining, bright side, if you want to look at it that way, they're only 1 game out, and they could lose to this Rams team. But the 49ers, the Chargers are playing against the Falcons, so it's a game that the Falcons could lose, and it's like, all right, well, the Bucs are going to be 3-6 and still only 1 game out. The problem with, and I understand the Bucs coaching logic of, hey, like we're only 1 game out, and we have a lot of teams that don't have like great records. But and long lost Glazer brings up the schedule here. The Seahawks are a first place team right now. They're not the most threatening type of team, but hey, this was supposed to be a home game for the Bucs, and they're playing it internationally in Germany. Right. Excited for our international fans to be able to watch it at a regular time for them. Browns game, hey, all the Browns do is run the ball, have a really good wide receiver with Amari Cooper. What have the Bucs done on defense? They give up everything in the run game, which is still crazy to say. I mean, over 200 yards last week in the second half against the Ravens. The Saints, they finally they beat the Saints in the regular season, and you kind of look at the same thing like, oh, maybe they beat the Saints, now they'll beat the Rams. But what about that Saints game was like, oh yeah, it's in the bag when they play the Saints again on Monday night.
It was 3-3 into the fourth quarter. I mean, that was
and Brashad Perriman made your star play, and then they got bailed out because Jameis Winston became the Jameis Winston that we all know, and it led to a billion turnovers, which, by the way, the Bucs defense hasn't had a turnover in over a month. So all of a sudden to think that that's going to change, then, the Bills very solid team. They'll probably have Jamar Chase by the time that they're back.
Yeah,
and
they literally can't even buy a takeaway right now in defense. They literally can't purchase a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, an interception. Like, it's hard to even buy a sack right now. If you're Tampa Bay, you're broke. You're broke on defense.
Yeah, you really are. And, hopefully they're getting some players back this week. Carlton Davis practiced today. So did Sean Murphy-Bunting, which at least you can get Zion McCollum off the field as a 100% of the snap starter at outside corner. And, listen, Sean Murphy-Bunting, we criticized him a lot. He does have an interception this year and probably still an upgrade. Well, I know it was an upgrade over Zion McCollum. Akeem Hicks potentially coming back as well. He spoke with us a little bit earlier. He's feeling much better, especially that he had a full, weekend and a full week to, try to get healthier. So there are reinforcements on the way, but at the same time, like, Carlton has never really been known as a turnover machine. Sean Murphy-Bunting can get interceptions here and there, and Akeem Hicks, maybe it'll help with all the flaws in the run game. But I mean, turnovers have been few and far between over the last month. Now, luckily, Matt Stafford has a, propensity to turn the ball over here and there. So, I don't know, maybe playing the Rams could be the remedy that gets the Bucs back on track.
We'll see. Harbinder, Matt Scott, were you surprised Tampa made no trades, and did they go after anyone? I got kind of word earlier in the day that they were not going to make any moves. So I was told not to expect anything. And, of course, that's what happened. And it's crazy, right? This is a gamble. This is a Jason Light / Todd Bowles gamble that they're going to coach it better and play it better. And they've been saying that for weeks. And the last couple of weeks have resulted in nothing but losses. So I don't know that I can trust this team right now to coach it better and play it better. We'll see. The Bucs are not playing up to their potential, but honestly, at this stage, Matt, I'm not sure what their potential is, and that's why I'm saying. And I'm not doubting this team. I mean, I guess I am doubting this team because I don't trust them. But I'm legitimately curious. Like, can this team win 5 games down the stretch? Can they win 6? I haven't seen enough evidence to support that. And at the same time, understanding, Matt, that this team has not played up to its potential. If the Buccaneer defense can play in the second half like they've played in the first half, which has actually been really good, like they did against the Ravens and the Panthers, and even it was a 10-9 game in Pittsburgh. So the Bucs defense has played very well in the first half of those games. The problem is what the Bucs had 9 points in the Steelers game, 0 points in the Panthers game, 10 points. They actually had a lead, a 10-3 lead at halftime. But just not enough points. Not enough points to make it a difference. And what I mean by that, Matt, is this defense, nor is any defense really in the NFL, built for 75 plays. You're just not, right? You're built for 55, maybe 60 plays, but once you start getting, over that threshold, you're getting run over and run down. And that's what we've seen in the second half. And so this defense is built on stopping the run, getting to 3rd and longs, but then getting off the field in 3rd and longs, either with an incompletion, with a pressure, with a sack, with an interception, whatever, but forcing a punt. And that's not, when I asked Todd Bowles today, I pointed out a statistic I'm going to be writing about this week. And it's in the last 5 games, the Bucs have been outscored 34-18 in the third quarter, right? 14-0 in the third quarter by the Ravens, 7-0 in the third quarter against the Panthers. It was 3-3 against the Steelers. The Bucs actually scored a touchdown. Remember, they got the 2-point conversion. Holy smokes, they scored a 2-point conversion against the Falcons. They actually outscored the Falcons 8-0. But then they were outscored 10-7 in the third quarter by the Chiefs. So you add them all up, they've been outscored 34-18. That's been a real problem over the last 5 games. The halftime adjustments on both sides of the ball have not worked, and it's led to this team just fizzling out in the second half. And so if they can play on defense for all 4 quarters, that's what Todd Bowles wants, they might be okay. But the thing is that they got to just score more points. I mean, they're not getting it done on offense. The 3 and outs are killing them, Matt.
Yeah, the Bucs' struggles on offense is really, really hurting the Bucs' defense, because when the team struggles in general, you generally point out to all the flaws of why this hasn't worked and why that hasn't worked. And you can't look at it this way fully, but if you could just take like the Bucs offense from last season and put it with the Bucs defense from this season, we wouldn't really be talking about all of the issues.
That's right.
The Bucs, I mean, really, with the exception of the Chiefs game, where the Chiefs scored all the time, and it was just bad juju from the beginning with the fact that, Rachaad White fumbled initially. But you take out that game where they just couldn't stop the Chiefs. The Bucs defense, while, they deserve all of the blame that they've been getting for allowing all these crucial third downs and all the big run plays, especially in the second half. They deserve that credit, that blame, I should say. But it could have been masked a lot if the offense didn't even necessarily play up to their potential, but played at like half the level that they were producing last season. They've really hung out the Bucs defense to dry. And, in games where, 24 points that you allow isn't, pat on the back worthy, being like, yeah, our defense played great. But 24 points with a Bucs offense from last season probably wins you that game. Yeah. And the Bucs aren't in a 3-5 hole right now. They're probably, I don't know, like 6-2, maybe, instead of just flip it around, be 5-3. So while the defense certainly deserves some blame and they have faults, it's really been the offense just showing complete ineptitude, whether it's the Falcons game, which they won, but couldn't move the ball with all the 3 and outs, whether it was, again, the constant 3 and outs against the Ravens in the second half, losing the time possession egregiously, or the fact that they just couldn't score against the Steelers and the Panthers, who have 2 extremely inferior teams. The offense is struggling in ways that, again, you can't just point to one thing. It's multiple things. Yeah. So
it really is. I will say this, that, if this coaching staff, has a brain, and I hope it does, at least turns it on, right? Hits the power button and turns the brain on. They'll keep Nick Leverett in that starting lineup at left guard, because he really made a difference. I think he really made a difference in the run game. They didn't run it much, but he did. And in pass protection, I thought he was just more sound. And I know Brady took a shot. Nobody's going to be clean and perfect, right? Even Ali Marpet and Ryan Jensen weren't perfect in terms of pass protection. You're going to give up a hit, maybe a sack, but I really think that Nick Leverett. And I talked to Nick today, and he's a fiery guy, Matt. The thing too is we've heard Russell Gage come out and say, yeah, we're like dead on offense, and we need some life and some energy. And when things aren't going right, everyone kind of starts looking around to who's going to be the guy, Nick Leverett is kind of like the Rakeem Nunez-Roches of the offense. And I say that about Nacho. He's not the best player. He's not the best defensive tackle on this team, but he's an energy guy. He's the Energizer bunny that you need sometimes. And sometimes it's not just you need Nacho to play great or even better, but Nacho's energy can make Vita Vea play better and Lavonte David play better. And it can kind of spread that way. And I think that's one thing that Nick Leverett can bring to this offensive huddle. He's kind of that fire starter. When Josh Capo and I were in Tennessee watching the joint practices between the Titans and the Bucs, Leverett was the guy that was pushing and shoving the Titans, and getting in their faces and kind of, being the dog in that fight. And you need that sometimes. You need that energy, that momentum. You need that tenacity up front. And I think he can bring that. So I liked his play. I like the energy that he brought. I mean, and keep in mind, this is the first game he's gone wire to wire in, right? Nick Leverett, the most he's ever played in the game prior to that was last year at Indianapolis, when he was an injury fill-in when Ali Marpet was out. Then you had Aaron Stinney come in. He got hurt. So he had to come in. He was like the third guard, essentially. Then he plays a little bit. He rotates in, plays about a third of the snaps in Carolina when they decided to go with the platoon. So this is really his first, game wire to wire as a starter. I thought he played really, really well.
Yeah, he brought a little bit more of attitude, is essentially what you were saying. He brought a little bit more to that. And, he already gels pretty well with the offensive line as it is. Like, we were talking to Tristan Wirfs today, and Nick Leverett, took one of the microphones from one of the reporters and went in there, and they're like, all right, Nick asked something. And he was like, oh, I froze. I didn't know what to say, whatever. But, you could tell he already meshes very well with the offensive line in itself. And you know what? He doesn't even have to play spectacular. He just has to play better than Luke Gedeke, which, again, no disrespect to Luke Gedeke, could end up being a solid offensive lineman down the road. But to play better than Luke Gedeke right now is that difficult. So, that's one of the mainstays, though. The Bucs coaching staff, Todd Bowles talked about it, on last Friday after the game. He talked about it today as well, that, they took all of weekend to, do some self-scouting, scout of the team. And he said that they're aware of the, corrections they have to make and the mistakes that they were making. And I don't know, I believe some of that, but how could you do self-scouting and scouting of the team you're coaching and not say Nick Leverett has to be in there every little game? Because unless you're saying, oh, well, we still want to mold Luke Gedeke, we still want to mold him or have him develop. Well, then you're not doing self-scouting in what do we have to do to make sure this team wins away. That's what they're not doing.
Matt. The last time I checked, Luke Gedeke signed a 4-year contract. Is that right? He did. He's a rookie, second-round pick. He signed a 4-year deal. That means he's going to be at Tampa Bay, Matt. He's going to be in Tampa Bay this year, next year, the year after that, and the year after that. It means he can maybe eventually develop into a starter any of those years. It doesn't have to be right now. It doesn't have to be, right? And I'll say this to Jason Light. Jason, guess what? Luke Gedeke is your guy. He's a second-round pick. He's your draft pick. But you know what? Nick Leverett's your guy too. You get just as much credit for finding an undrafted free agent gem in Nick Leverett if he develops into a starter, which he is, right? You get just as much credit, if not more, for Nick Leverett than you do for Luke Gedeke in the second round. And I think sometimes that's what the personnel guys have to understand. And it goes back to back in the Gruden and Bruce Allen years. They drafted wide receiver Dexter Jackson, not the Super Bowl MVP. This was the Appalachian State kid, and and he was a bust. He was basically like a second round version of Jalen Darden. He was slip and slide, doing punts and kick returns. Didn't have much cojones back there, and he was a bust. But I didn't really rip Gruden and Allen so much for that. You know why? Because they had a nice recovery that year. In the same draft class, they signed an undrafted free agent named Clifton Smith, who I believe was a Wisconsin running back. Okay. Clifton Smith ended up being the Pro Bowl return guy that year. He had a kickoff return for a touchdown against Kansas City. He had another one. He had a punt return for a touchdown, I believe. So he had 2 or 3 returns for touchdowns, and it was a phenomenal return guy. He was the guy Dexter Jackson was supposed to be.
Right.
But it was a nice save, right? It's like this guy failed, but this guy, who we didn't think was supposed to be the guy, ended up being the guy. And so that's my message to Jason Light and this personnel staff, this scouting department. It's like you get credit for Luke Gedeke if he ends up becoming a good quality starter. In the meantime, he's not. But Nick Leverett showed me some real signs of life. And so if he's the guy and he ends up playing really, really well, you get credit for that. So stop trying to force Luke Gedeke when he's not ready yet. Go with the guy who's ready, right? And maybe Luke ends up being the guy next year or the year after that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you could end up being a double winner if Gedeke becomes the guy in a season or two from now, and you still get the credit for what Nick Leverett did. We just had a comment.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe Luke Gedeke actually ends up being a better right guard and replaces Shaq Mason in a couple years. Right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. What if Nick Leverett ends up being a damn good starter, and then Shaq Mason's contract runs out, and he's like, on the other side of 30, and Luke Gedeke's ready. Then all of a sudden, Gedeke, maybe he's better right guard than he is left. And so then you get your guards. So stop trying to force it, man. Just go with what's working right now. It's Nick Leverett.
And Jason Light has been notorious at, finding offensive linemen, whether it's through the draft or free agency, that play different positions and then putting them to, the position that they are at home.
Fresno State. That's right. Fresno State. Yeah. I said Wisconsin and Fresno State. Yep.
I did want to get to a comment that you put up before, talking about Jason Light and Warren Sapp obviously had a couple of words about Devin White, and Devin also was made available today, but did not speak. He declined to. So I want to talk a little bit about Devin White. First, though, want to talk to everyone about our favorite beer at pewterreport.com. That, of course, is Pirate Republic. They are based out of the Nassau, Bahamas, and are now invading Florida just in time for football season. And beer brings people together to celebrate life. That means celebrating life in the spirit of the original pirate code. That's a sense of belonging. Pirate Republic is a community of people living life on their terms. And here are the beers that they have. The Long John Pilsner is perfect for tailgating or having fun at the beach in the Florida sun. Personally, it's my favorite, but you can't go wrong with either of these other two choices. The Take No Quarter is the best IPA that you'll drink. Even if you're not an IPA guy, you'll enjoy this IPA. You can also drop an orange slice in the Golden Haze Piracy Belgian wit beer and enjoy that pirate life. Pirate Republic is available at participating retailers like Total Wine and More, Lucan's Liquors, Party Liquors, and select ABC liquor stores. That's where I get my Pirate Republic in the greater Tampa Bay area, and is expanding across the state of Florida. So live life on your terms and drink like a pirate with Pirate Republic beer. As you see on the screen here, that's the Golden Haze, a Piracy Belgian wit. I have to have that one soon because I said Long John Pilsner is my favorite, but
it's good.
The variety is the spice of life, as I like to say with Celsius. So gotta do it as well with the Pirate Republic. You won't go wrong with any of those choices. So check them out soon. Let us know what you think, because I feel pretty positive that you're going to enjoy it, just like that. I think this is going to be the greatest Pewter Report podcast of all time.
So far, so good, Matt. I'm feeling pretty good about where this podcast is going. I really feel like it's going to get on history as the best one we've ever done. Not the best game of Devin White's career on Thursday night against the Ravens, and Warren Sapp pointed that out. Also, Josh Capo, he actually beat Sapp to the punch with our Pewter Report video. And make sure that you are watching all of our Pewter Report videos, not just the Pewter Report podcast or the Pewter Report tailgate show, which leads into Pewter Game Day, but also some of the press conference clips that we put up there, that Matt and our staff put up there, in addition to Josh Capo, who does some of his video breakdowns as well. And he did that on Devin White. And, Devin White is nothing personal, right? I'm taking the Bruce Arians approach here. We're not criticizing you. We're criticizing your football. And your football really has stunk over the last couple of weeks. Started off great game against the Dallas Cowboys. Played very well against the Saints in week 2. And really from week 3 on, in my opinion, it's just been downhill. And you can look at the stat sheet. Okay, you made 10 tackles, Devin White. But one of those tackles that I had a problem with was when Lamar Jackson was dashing to his left, and Devin White's using that sideline to sideline speed and pushed him out of bounds for, I want to say, maybe 3 to 5 yards. It wasn't a huge gain by any means. But Devin White was awful proud of himself and was like, yeah, got it. I got Lamar.
I did that.
Exactly. And the problem is Lamar picked up the first down, and while Devin White was using his exuberance over pushing Lamar Jackson out of bounds for a nominal gain, Lamar Jackson wisely just said, first down. And therein lies the problem, Matt. Therein lies the problem. It's the mentality. It's the mentality. And Todd Bowles talks about playing smart football. Devin White is just not playing smart football. and it's hurting this team so much so that I even called for Devin White in my 2-point conversion to to be benched. And I'm not saying a whole game, but like maybe if you want to rotate some guys, right? If you're the coaching staff that believes in the platoon philosophy, like you want to platoon Nick Leverett and Luke Gedeke at left guard, maybe platoon Olukunle Fatukasi in for a couple of series at Mike linebacker, just so you can see the difference, right? And Todd Bowles was even asked about Fatukasi and J.J. Russell, who was elevated today to the active roster, mostly for special teams role, and also because KJ Britt's out. But Matt, I think with Fatukasi, if my memory serves, J.J. Russell's the better athlete, but Fatukasi is just super smart, always in the right spot, always in the right position. You know what? Maybe you need that. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need a smarter player in there to not mess up, right? It's not just about the highlights, the highlight plays.
It's about like the fundamentals,
Right. It's about not making the lowlights, right, Matt?
Yeah. It's about not making the lowlights. It's about doing essentially the inside linebacker job, and that's stopping the run and getting off of blocks and getting to the hole before the running back can get there, or whatever type of play it is. And the play you just described with Devin White, that was the thing that bothered me most, more than anything else, more than the Ravens center Lindbaum taking him 20 yards down the field. You know what? Listen, that video, that sucks, but it's people have bad plays, bad reps, bad games. Yeah. The play that you described with the celebrating and Lamar going first down, it just shows a complete lack of awareness,
you're exactly right.
Complete oblivion of what's actually going on. The fact that, there's people telling him that his, don't stink, and that's just not the case at all. So then, listen, we don't wear this as a badge of honor, but you tweeted out that Devin White's overrated. And what he do? He retweeted us and then blocked us. Yeah. We're not like super pumped about that.
Right.
But, it shows like a little immaturity. When we go up to him today and we asked Devin if we can talk to him, and he says, "Nah, I'm good." And this is
Matt,
of the team.
He used that sideline to sideline speed to bolt for the door, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, this is a captain of your team, Mike Evans, week in and week out. And Mike did it, way before Brady got here, too. He would still face the music. Mike Evans always talks. Lavonte talks a lot. Brady is obligated nationally because he's a quarterback, but, he faces the music. He doesn't always answer it the way that we would expect to. Shout out Mark here. Appreciate the comment. Lack of awareness, ... Where have I heard that before? ... Carolina and Bowles, same old thing. So Mark not loving the decisions that Todd Bowles has made. But I think, the fact that, Warren Sapp, he's a Hall of Famer. That's why I was saying Josh Capo has Hall of Fame talent. Maybe not as an athlete, but as, breaking down tape. He has the same Hall of Fame talent as Warren Sapp. But, it's one thing when news outlets and websites say, like, here's what he's not doing right and here's his mistakes. And then you have Warren Sapp, who, he's got his name up, in the Bucs Ring of Honor. He has his name in the stadium. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's
one of the smartest football players I know. I mean, Warren Sapp's not always right, but Matt, he's one of the smartest football players I know, right?
Yeah, and he's saying the same exact things that we are. Like, what are you doing? Take the seat. Well, we're not saying take his captainship, but Warren Sapp said that. Like, how are you not getting to this spot? And I just think it rings a lot more true when Warren Sapp is saying it. And then the fact that Devin doesn't want to answer to anything too, it's not the best look for him. And do I think eventually he could turn it around? Yeah, but I think
I hope so.
He needs to get some of this criticism to understand, like, yeah, man, you're really good. You have a lot of talent, but you still have a long way to go because there are simple mistakes that you are making that just should not be happening by a Pro Bowl caliber player, a guy that's made the Pro Bowl that is looking for that second big contract. And maybe he got hyped up a little bit too much by the national media, but it's wearing off really quickly. Not only when you have a 3-5 record, but when you're losing to terrible teams like the Steelers and the Panthers, and then lose nationally to the Ravens.
Yeah, listen, the NFL is the probably the most what have you done for me lately league. Yeah. In any because every game matters. You only have 17, right?
Yeah.
You have 17 shots at it. This is not like the NHL where you can lose 7 straight and still win your division, right? I mean, it depends on when those losses come. But I mean, in baseball, you can lose 10 straight games and still not be out of anything, right?
Yeah.
And same with the NBA. You can lose 10, 12 games in a row and then get on a hot streak because there's that many games, right? There's 100 plus games. Baseball, was it 140? 162 games, right? You have 80 something in hockey. You have 17 games, right? If you lose 3 games in a row, like all of a sudden people are hitting that panic button, right? I mean, that's happening here in Tampa. So I don't know, man. It's dangerous, in my opinion. I will say this. Here's one thing we learned. I'm going to be writing about this for tomorrow. Lavonte David, who also has a C on his chest, he doesn't say a whole bunch. He's more of like a quiet leader. Derek Brooks was kind of that way too. Sapp was the fire and brimstone, team captain, and then Derek Brooks was kind of the godfather. He was kind of the locker room guy. He would talk to guys one-on-one. That's kind of how he ran the show, right? Lynch was kind of in between. Lynch was kind of a fire starter like Sapp was, although Sapp was just fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
Lavonte David is more like that reluctant leader. He's more like Rondé Barber later in his career, Derek Brooks, etc. Devin wants to be the fire and brimstone guy, but he doesn't have the walk to back up the talk, certainly not on a consistent basis. And my whole thing is in calling out Devin and saying he shouldn't have the C on his chest and pointing out that he should be benched, etc., and tweeting out what needed to be said. And I even said that. That was the tweet. Devin White is one of the most overrated players in the NFL, period. Needs to be said, period. And it's the truth. And I'm not saying that to demean Devin White. I want him to play better, right? This is a guy that we had in 4 out of our 5 mock drafts for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not a Devin White hater, nor have I been. I've probably given the guy more slack than anybody, right? And he needs to play better. There's nothing wrong with saying that because that's the truth. The film doesn't lie. The Buccaneers, Matt, they don't have any special film that we don't have access to. We watched the All-22. There's no special, like, well, these are the plays that you guys don't see that Devin White does really, really good. Devin White does make some good plays. But at the same time, he makes some god-awful plays, some big-time mental gaffes that a player in his, 19, 20, 4th year shouldn't be making, right?
Right. That's exactly the case. Mark here says, what scares me is is that we have been outcoached the last 3 weeks, and now we have McVay and the Rams. We'll get to that in just a moment. But to wrap everything up with Devin White, it is like I just initially when you're like, I've been supporting Devin White for a long time. One of the first things that popped into my head was during the NFL Combine, right before Devin White ran his 40-yard dash, you said, future Buck Devin White about to take off.
Matter of fact, I tweeted that. I said, future Buck Devin White just ran a 4.4 or whatever. And I tweeted that out, and then I texted that to Jason Light. Swear to God, I did. I'm like, there's your number 5 overall pick. And that was back when we as Pewter Report were getting criticized. Oh, you don't draft the off-ball linebacker with the 5th overall pick, right? Listen, Devin White has all the potential to honestly be the best linebacker in the game. He really does.
Seriously.
In terms of his physical talent, his ability to make splash plays. Yeah. From a physical standpoint, the guy has all the tools. It's from the neck up with Devin. And there have been times where he's played really, really smart, instinctive football. But it's just has not been done on a consistent basis. And that's the scary part. If you're looking for the silver lining with Devin White, he's 24 years old. He's still very young. But the scary thing, too, though, is, Matt, the flip side is we're in year 4 now of the 5-year Devin White experiment. And it's kind of mirroring Jameis Winston, right? Top 5 pick, right? Jameis was number 1 overall. Here you got Devin White. Both have all the physical talent that you want. They're the prototype of what you want. Jameis is a quarterback, strong arm, intangibles, all that stuff, right? I mean, the guy, lost 2 games at Florida State, maybe 1, whatever his record was stunningly good. And then you've got Devin White, who just has the speed. He can blitz. He can pick off some passes. He can tackle. He can have that 18 tackle game when he's on and playing disciplined football. But then there's also those boneheaded gaffes in press conferences, sometimes saying some stupid things.
Bored, yeah.
Yeah. And then the mental gaffes on the field, right? For Jameis, it's the untimely interception, it's the pick six, it's the sack fumble, right? And for Devin, it's the, getting driven 15 yards down the field by the rookie center. It's loafing. It's forgetting the back and the flat who catches the touchdown.
Wide
it's just
open.
those, it's just those untimely mental gaffes that these guys are on a parallel course here, a dangerous parallel course. The Bucs gave Jameis Winston that fifth-year option, and then they just said, no thanks. And honestly, it's trending that way for Devin White. He'll be back next year on the fifth-year option. But then what do you do after that?
I know.
When is he going to grow up? He'll be 25 next year. Is 26 going to be the age? Is it going to be 27? When is this guy going to turn into the next Lavonte David, the next Derek Brooks, the next Bobby Wagner? Will he ever?
It's so concerning, too, because the Bucs are staring straight down the barrel of a situation where, Lavonte might not be here. He's getting up there in age. And if I'm Lavonte, after this season, I kind of go it's not working with the Rams, but Bobby Wagner probably signed with the Rams because he thought, hey, they're the defending champs, we're gonna be solid. If I'm Lavonte, I'm like, listen, I've had my loyalty to the Bucs. I'm going to another team now that is ready to win right now. And then if the Bucs don't want to sign Devin White, I really don't blame them. But you're staring at a situation, and sure, there's free agency, things like that can change, but where you're going to have to bring in two new inside linebackers to this team, man. Which is really scary. But at that point, they'll probably be in the middle of a rebuild mode as it is. But, Devin does have a season and a half to figure it out. He's got still the remainder of this year and next year as well, looking to get that big second contract.
Yeah,
maybe he'll improve. Maybe the Bucs will give it to him. Maybe another team will overpay and give him that big contract that he's looking for. But it's good to have a lot of money, but it's important on how you invest it, what you do with those finances, and if you're looking for a place to do that, of course, it's got to be with Amuni Financial.
At Amuni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Drew, congratulations! We're so happy for you.
Thank you. And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you?
Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track, so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. Amuni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
That's right. Managing your family's wealth means more to Amuni Financial than simply allocating your assets. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts to make sure those kids get to college and you have money to pay for it, and insurance services. Listen, folks, there's a lot of economic uncertainty in America and in the world right now. Why would you want to trust your financial future with anybody but experienced veterans? And that's what you get with over 40 years of experience. Let Amuni Financial help you plan ahead and stay ahead. They're based over in St. Petersburg. They help people all across the Tampa Bay region, all across the state of Florida, and they're also able to help you across the country. Do what I've done. I've got most of my financial assets with Amuni Financial. Call them today, Amuni Financial, at 1-800-868-6864. That's 1-800-868-6864 for a free, no-risk consultation. It's always good to have a good backup plan, a second opinion, if you will, especially when your financial future is on the line. Visit them on the web at Amuni.com.
Scott, let's get into a little bit more of this upcoming matchup between the Bucs and the Rams. And, I think it's easy to look at, kind of some of the main stars, whether it's, Jalen Ramsey at corner, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp at wide receiver. But, one of the guys you just put on the screen there, Sean McVay, when I look at this matchup, the first thing that I truly think of is the fact that this will be the fourth matchup in the last 3 years with this regime, pretty much. And when you look at the losses to the Bucs, and sure, you can point out a couple of things, but the first thing for me that I really think of is just the way that the Bucs continue to get outcoached by Sean McVay. And, you could point to the fact, like, one of the games that pops out to me, other than the playoff game, of course, is the game that they lost during the regular season when they were wearing the all pewter outfit. That might have been 2 years ago. But the fact that the Rams,
27-24.
the Rams knew that the Bucs wanted to push the ball down the field, so they played a lot of two safety, kept those guys back, and the Bucs still kept trying to go over the middle and down the field, and were able to stop them there. Then, of course, you look at that playoff game, and all we talked about, well, one, Cooper Kupp still gets the ball no matter what, even though he's getting the ball.
Yep.
Two, they start blitzing him when it's like, they have the best, average against the blitz on offense. And I don't know. There's just so many different ways you can look at it. But McVay has had Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles numbered. Now it's just Todd Bowles. And I'm worried that in a game where two teams are struggling right now, it could be something as simple as, hey, we know what Tampa Bay is going to do, and that's how we're going to beat them. That's really like the biggest concern for me heading into this game. Yeah,
the interesting thing is what Sean McVay said, because both teams really cannot run the ball, right? They really can't. And now you've got Cooper Kupp who's injured and is expected to play. We'll see how that ankle injury is. That might be just some gamesmanship there from Sean McVay saying, "Oh yeah, we expect Cooper Kupp to play." Listen, if Cooper Kupp plays even with a bum ankle, right? That's like a wounded animal. That's a dangerous animal, right? I mean, if he's on the field, he's got to be accounted for. He's still going to make plays if he can play. The problem is the Rams can't run the ball. Todd Bowles said that they're going to try to run the ball, but yet Sean McVay coming out saying after the 31-14 loss to the 49ers that at this point running the ball is like wasted plays because they're just not getting anything out of their offense from their ground game. And I'm sure Todd Bowles is probably saying, "Amen, brother." I feel the same way here in Tampa. But the leading rusher in LA is Darrell Henderson with 197 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, 3.9 yard average. They only have one run of 20 yards or more. Now, the Buccaneers don't have a run of 20 yards or more this year, one of just, I think, 2 or 3 teams. That 20-yard run, Matt, came from Cooper Kupp on an end around. So it was a 20-yarder. That's the longest one. Cam Akers, he wanted to be traded. He's unhappy. Darrell Henderson really has been underwhelming, but really it's been that offensive line, Matt, if we're being honest, right? Rob Havenstein is the only starter. I guess Brian Allen, the center, he's back into the fold now. But he was out to start the season. But they lost Joe Noteboom, who was the replacement for Andrew Whitworth at left tackle, and he was actually a pretty good player. They lost him to an Achilles injury. The left guard position's a mess. So can the Buccaneers, without Shaq Barrett, can they take advantage of this offensive line from the Rams? Because that has been the real challenge, getting to Matt Stafford. That's something the Bucs have not done a good job of. Is the door open to crack here? First of all, Matt, answer that question. And then second of all, because of the woes of this offensive line, are we just going to see those wide receiver screens to Cooper Kupp, to Tyler Higbee, the tight end, that have plagued this Bucs defense when they pass the ball quickly out to the flat and force some of those cornerbacks and safeties to tackle in space?
Yeah, I mean, if there's any better opportunity to get your front four going, then it would have to be this game. And, we've seen from like Vita Vea that at times he'll look great. He'll look like, hey, this is why he just got this big contract. And then he'll just regress. And maybe it's because he's dealing with an injury or something along those lines. Quite frankly, listen, we love Nacho. We love Will Golson. Like Nacho in particular, he's there to stop the run, but the Bucs defense just isn't stopping the run.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that necessarily means
he's not a starter, Matt. He's not a starter. He's a backup player.
So one thing again, if Keem Hicks is in there, that help a little bit, but play Logan Hall even more, because one of the things that really stood out to me, I know we're done with Devin White, but one last Devin White thing on the play that he was quote unquote loafing on, it was a screenplay. You know who was running down the field while Devin was going tra-la-la-la? It was Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Logan Hall. 15 yards down the field on a play where they were already in the backfield, as Josh Capo already pointed out. So I want to see that speed along the defensive line, which I think you're going to get from Logan Hall and hopefully Akeem Hicks if he's able to play. But yeah, if I'm the Rams, I get quick throws going. We'll see if Sean Murphy Bunting plays, but or Carlton Davis, they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
But the Ravens kept running it and mostly throwing it. Short little plays right outside McCollum, and he whiffed over and over and over and over again. So I would attack the Bucs very quickly in that standpoint. Like Stafford, who doesn't even look 100% either.
Yeah.
I don't think he could sit back there all day. I want to trust the Bucs defensive line, but at times they look so great, and then there's other moments where it's like, what are you guys just chilling back there with the Pirate Republic? Like, do you want to get after the quarterback?
And you know what, Matt? It's with Cooper Kupp, and again, we'll see if he plays and we'll see how effective he is, right, with that ankle in terms of getting separation. He's a great route runner, but I mean, on a bum ankle, we'll see if that negates some of that special quality that he has. But you look, you've got Ben Skrowinek, right? The wide receiver, he's averaging 9.6 yards per catch. Tutu Atwell, right? I mean, he's got one catch. He was a high draft pick.
Allen Robinson has
been
major disappointment,
big time, right?
I mean, you want to talk about Russell Gage being being a bad, bad.
I mean, Allen Robinson is not OBJ by any means, right? So and then they've been with that Van Jefferson. So this is a Rams receiving core that helped Matt Stafford become the deadliest quarterback when facing the blitz, because you had all these guys that could get open. The problem now is that those guys aren't getting open. Matthew Stafford with that offensive line is getting roughed up. And if I'm Todd Bowles, I know that you weren't supposed to blitz Matt Stafford last year, and they did on the last play, and it was costly. But Matt, this year, I'm just going for broke, and I'm just going to take my chances and blitz the hell out of Matt Stafford and try to get him off track and take my chances.
Hey, that's one way to get Devin White going, because he does like to go after the quarterback. Ronnie here asking what the point spread is for that game. That's actually perfect timing. I will tell you guys about the point spread and where you can find that, which of course you can find the point spread on mybookie.ag for all of your gambling prowess on and needs. We know that you guys know sports and you pick winners all the time. So why not get paid for them at MyBookie? MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests for all your sports betting needs, anytime and anywhere. Bet on the NFL, the NCAA, or swing for the fences with the brand new Money Bag. The MyBookie Money Bag is a one-of-a-kind opportunity to spin for crazy odds on props and futures. Just place your bet, spin the wheel, and get ready to score epic odds on the best teams, athletes, and events. Maybe you want to bet the over in passing yards for Tom Brady, or maybe the Bucs ground game gets going. You think Rashad White might have a good game. Maybe they'll implement him as the starter. Place your bet, spin the wheel, and get ready to score epic odds on the best teams, athletes, and events. Sign up free today using the promo code Pewter, that's PEWTER, and claim a deposit match of any amount to $1,000. Even if you learn from Plant City Math, it's a pretty good deal. Again, that's promo code Pewter, PEWTER, to claim your deposit bonus and give yourself that competitive edge. It's not just a sports book, it's a community. So bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. That's mybookie.ag. And the last I checked, believe it or not, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a 3-point favorite against the Los Angeles Rams. I remember they were a 2.5-point favorite against the Ravens, and that clearly did not work out well for them. But again, home team, usually betting odds tend to go in favor of the home team if it's quote unquote an even matchup or 50-50 matchup. But we could talk about this on the game day show and the tailgate show, but a 3-point advantage for the Bucs being the 3-point favorite, I don't know. That's a little bit of a stretch. I don't see that at all. Yeah. I would look at it more as a pick 'em, but
yeah, I just put $20 down on on the Rams. Just did.
Hey, you put down 50 large against the Bucs
Against
Ravens,
the Ravens,
and you won that.
and I won. Listen, either this team's going to win, and I'm going to be happy for all the Buccaneer fans out there, or I'm going to make some money off of one or the other. So
yeah,
hope I lose. That'd be great. I'd lose the $20 that I won when the Ravens beat the Bucs. See, I'm going to do this, Bucs fans. I'm going to try to use a little reverse psychology. I'm going to bet on the opponent and see if the Buccaneers can actually win. I hope they do. Listen, it's going to be a miserable, miserable locker room if the Buccaneers don't pull this off against the Rams. Lavonte David, we did find out today, he did have a players-only meeting after the loss. He stood up and spoke and kind of rallied the troops. And he's been the one kind of behind the scenes, having a couple of player-only meetings, getting back to the fundamentals, the attention to details, the sticking together, right? And so I think Lavonte's showing some good leadership behind the scenes. We'll see at the end of the day. Todd Bowles was right when he said the time for talk is over. We got to walk, man. We got to. It's about action, not about words. So we'll see if this team can win. I still have a hard time trusting this team when they got thumped by the Panthers 21-3, and of course they lost at Pittsburgh too. You lose back-to-back games on the road against one-win teams, and then lose a lead to the Ravens at home. I just have a hard time trusting this team right now.
I don't think I'll trust them again until they play the Panthers. Like, seriously, in all of their upcoming matchups, there's not one game where I'm like, the Bucs will really have a big advantage. And I think it's really just honestly that Panthers game where I think that they can, potentially be I mean, they're the favorite in this game, but be a favorite.
King Cook, that's a good point. When we're having player-only meetings, things are not good. That's true, but at the same time, sometimes those are needed. Sometimes, the players have to hold each other accountable, right? And it's the coach's job to ultimately do that. That's why they get paid, and that's what the role of a coach is. But the players, it has to be both. You have to have the coaches and the players holding this team accountable. And so Lavonte is the guy to do that, to be honest, because I don't know how you can look at Devin White's film and then follow him as a leader when he keeps screwing up. And Vita Vea, I like Vita Vea a lot. I don't think Vita Vea has been as consistent this year. He's had some flashes. He's actually had more sacks this year. And he already has a career high sacks with 4.5. I think he leads the team in sacks. But it's just not as consistent against the run even as in years past. And he's just not a vocal leader. I mean, he gets the C on the chest because he's one of the better players.
So it's a lot of leaders by example with, Brady being one of the fiery leaders, I guess you want to say, but he's in such another stratosphere when it comes to being a leader. And then you mentioned Devin being fiery, but only when being fiery benefits him, versus helping everyone.
Well, one thing that can help you, it's helped me if you are I don't even say 40s or 50s, because what Age Rejuvenation's finding out is that people in their 30s, men in their 30s, are actually seeing decreases in testosterone. It's part of the food that we're eating. It's part of the diet that we're all, all the kind of the junk food and the processed food that we're consuming. It's just doing something to our bodies, and it's taking away testosterone. What that does when you don't have enough testosterone, not only can it interfere with your sex life, it can also just give you that mental fog and really wear you down and make you tired. And that's certainly what happened to me. I just got super tired. You know what? I'm 50. I turned 50 this year. I went to the folks at Age Rejuvenation, and it's worked wonders for me.
As we age, our hormones decrease, both for men and women.
I was tired all the time, had no sex drive.
I was groggy.
I felt like I was 80 years old because everything hurt.
I came to Age Rejuvenation because I was tired all the time.
Bioidentical hormones has really made such an impact in people's lives.
I actually enjoy shopping now.
Got all my energy back.
Mind is sharp.
I feel like I'm 18 again.
It was perfect for me.
Get with Age Rejuvenation. Do it now. Don't wait.
Call Age Rejuvenation today.
All right. I don't feel like I'm 18 again, but to be honest, I feel like I'm 40 again. And 40 beats 50, guys. It just does. If you can take a decade off of your mental and physical stature where you're at right now, if you're 40 and you want to go back to 30, if you're 60, would you like to feel like you're 50 again? It's really what can happen. I mean, John Gilmore, retired Buccaneer tight end. He's one of our co-hosts on the Pewter Report, the Celsius Pewter Report tailgate show presented by Age Rejuvenation. He says, I feel like I could play another 10 years in the NFL. And that's what testosterone therapy can do for you. If you want to feel better, go to Age Rejuvenation, lose weight, feel great, have better sex. You might have seen Age Rejuvenation as the sponsor of my SR's Fab 5 column. And of course, they're the presenting sponsor of the Celsius Pewter Report tailgate show. I didn't have any issues in the bedroom, but I did turn 50 and my energy was a problem. And it wasn't just this year. It was honestly years ago, like 45 is when I started to just slow down physically. Turns out I had low testosterone, like most men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. It's just nature, fellas. It happens. Now, low testosterone can affect everything from weight loss to energy to stamina. But now there's a way to fight it. It's what I did with the testosterone therapy. I've got more energy as a result. Visit agerejuvenation.com. Age Rejuvenation has 5 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you. Lose weight, feel great with Age Rejuvenation. And Matt, I just went back for my follow-up appointment. I'm about halfway through my testosterone therapy pellet session. They do every 6 months, so I'm about 3 months into it. And I've already lost 3 pounds. That's not just weight. That's actual fat. I've lost 3 pounds of fat, and I've turned that into lean muscle. And I really haven't even been going to the gym, to be honest. My schedule's so crazy. I don't work out like I should. This is just the effect of the testosterone therapy. It works even without that. I'm going to try to get to the gym and work out more, and we'll see what even happens. Then I'm supposed to get even better results. So I'm very happy with Age Rejuvenation. Give them a call or visit them online at agerejuvenation.com.
I'm very glad it's working. And of course, they're also one of the sponsors of the Celsius Pewter Report tailgate show presented by Age Rejuvenation and live at the Walk-Ons. We'll be live at the Walk-Ons in Midtown for this Sunday's game. The game is at 4:25. So the tailgate show begins at 2:30 with Scott and Bailey, JC, John Gilmore. It's always a great crew there. And then the Pewter Game Day show with myself and a guest will be going on right at kickoff. And, we have a great time. Even if the Bucs don't play well, we make it a lot of fun, and we appreciate everyone that joins that. So make sure you check it out. The Pewter Report tailgate show at 2:30 and the live in-game show, game day show at 4:25. Also, just want to remind everyone, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Pewter Report TV. Follow us on all of our social medias on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all just at Pewter Report. And yeah, just hit like, do us a favor, subscribe, watch all the great videos and the content that we have at pewterreport.com. And stay tuned because we have another episode tomorrow. JC Allen is actually going to be the host. He has 2 guests, and I'm telling you, make sure you're there for the whole show. But specifically, one of the guests on the show is very beloved by the Pewter people, and we know you'll be excited to see them on the show. Trevor Sikkema. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to everyone watching today. We really appreciate it. So for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.
Pewter Rams.